the lawi ayam or the karambit. Now I'm saying lawi ayam because that's actually in most of what is known by, especially in Indonesia and Malaysia, it's known as a lawi ayam, not as a karambit. What I have understood, I'm not a linguist, but I think that karambit is actually a Filipino word, probably Tagalog, but correct me if I'm wrong. And that now today, if you say karambit, they will probably know what you mean, because it's been like retroactively imported as a term also in Indonesia and Malaysia. But the originally most of these countries, it's known as lawi ayam, and the fact that it's shaped like a claw is pretty obvious. Now I have a few examples. This one is a trainer. This is a real one, a sharp one, that I bought some years ago from saudara-kaum. And I also have a larger trainer here that I got from a friend of mine who has a shop. It's called FMA Academy. It's a wooden trainer. Now the thing is that generally this has come to be known as the weapon of choice for silat, like the silat weapon, which I think is slightly wrong. I don't mean that it's not a silat weapon, but I think that its predominance in silat is somewhat exaggerated. I'm going to modify what I'm saying now a little bit and explain what I feel or what I mean. The thing is that traditionally I think that very few compared to today, silat systems had the karambit as part of their curriculum. Now, as it gained popularity, especially in the West, it has been retrofitted into a lot of silat systems. Now, that's not something bad in my opinion. It means that the system has a great deal of adaptability, and it means that you can adapt to new weapons and put them in, and that doesn't mean that it's any less valuable or any less good than if it was used 200 years ago. I think that, and I mean, we all adapt to what is modern and cool. This weapon, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I think it's not as common. The thing is that a karambit is essentially a sort of knife, and historically there are three stories about how this came to be. One is that it's shaped from the claw of a tiger, or inspired by the claw of a tiger. One is that it's a weaponized farming tool, like a sickle. And the third is that it's a derivative of the jambia, the Arabian dagger, curved dagger. Now, I'm going to say that personally I believe that the truth lies somewhere between the last two. That it is probably a weaponized farming tool that also has been inspired by the Arabian jambia. I don't think it's originally created as a weapon inspired by a tiger claw. That's my personal opinion. Feel free to disagree with me and post the comments below. Now, the thing is that it is a relatively small weapon. I mean, nobody would really go to war with something the size of a knife as your primary weapon. That's why I also think that it's quite obvious that it wouldn't be the primary weapon of most silat systems, because your primary weapon in warfare would be a spear and a shield, or a firearm if you like, at later points, and then probably you'd have a guluk or some sort of sword as a backup weapon, and then you'd come to a knife. Maybe you'd have another knife than the karambit first, and then the karambit as like weapon number 4 in the priority, or number 3. Anyways, the priority would be spear or bayonet, then sword, and then some sort of knife. Now, It is also a relatively close combat or close quarters weapons. It doesn't have the range of a regular knife or conventional knife, even though you can straight it pretty long out compared to a normal or conventional knife. I have one here. I would get further, even though this one has a shorter blade. I can get further with this one than I can with the karambit. Now, so it's a relatively short, close quarters weapon. The second thing is that I think that it's a good weapon, but I don't think it's a good weapon for the same reason that most people seem to think that it's a good weapon, or many people seem to think. Many people seem to think that it has all these clawing abilities that you can lock with them, disarm, all this. Of course you can disarm with any weapon, but it's something that happens very seldom. I think that the main ability of or strength of a karambit is that it's easy to use. You can give a good right hook, and this is basically a set of knuckle dusters with a huge blade on. So it gives, you're already there if you can give a good hook. Now, it pierces and then gives a good push cut. So it gives deep, good, or nasty if you like, push cut. Now, of course, just for the record, I'm not endorsing knife violence. I'm just exploring this from a martial arts perspective, and we train with weapons, and that's the way it is. Now, you see the curve. It kind of pierces in and then cuts all along the edge here, so it gives very deep, nasty cuts, compared to a knife or a conventional knife, which primarily has the feature of thrusting or stabbing. You can cut with a normal knife, but I mean compared to this one, for example, you wouldn't get very deep with cuts like this. Now, just for the record, if you see people spinning it, if I'm going to be polite, I'm going to say that, well, the use is very, very limited. Spinning is something that can, in the right context, of course, come to have some function, like any technique. Actually, I'm going to make a whole video about just something that can work in a biomechanical sense doesn't mean that it will work tactically or be a very good technique. But that's a whole nother discussion. I think that spinning, it's not like something you do a lot with a knife, just like you wouldn't spin any other blade. Now, as I said, primary function is ease of use. So that was my 2 cents about it. Let me know what you think, and please feel free to disagree with me and post comments down below. All right, thank you very much.